today. Get stuck into your man.
The second match here today, Joe, between Cork and Kerry, that won't be a nice game of football, as in the sense that there's been plenty of tackling.
Well, Cork have tended to turn games into sort of battles of attrition this year. They have a very defensive format, which isn't surprising because they don't really have a marquee forward division. You know, they haven't really carried that sort of menace that you would associate with serious All-Ireland contenders. But nonetheless, they're there, and having beaten Kerry in a replay, which normally tells the tale, they're in the unusual position of being underdogs after Kerry's performance against Armagh. Because you'd have to say that.
But that's probably been unfair to Cork, because I mean that's just assuming now that.
I don't know because, I mean, when you look at the pedigree of the Kerry team, I mean, what we see year after year is you come here for a big game, and the team with the pedigree just plays at a different level. You know, you saw Tyrone doing it last year in the final, and you saw Kerry doing it against Armagh, so you would expect that again today.
Okay, well, as you saw there for yourselves, the Laois team are out in the field here at Croke Park for this first game. So at this point, let's hear from the rival managers for that game. We spoke to both of them, of course, last weekend, but I'm sure they weren't expecting to be back here again today. Mickey Moran is the Mayo manager, Mick O'Dwyer in charge of Laois, and they've been talking to Darragh Maloney.
Mickey, first of all as selected, everybody okay for today?
Well, Kevin Neal had a bit of a fitness test last night, and he's not starting, but he's able to participate at some stage during the match, and we've included Mickey Conroy, under 21 player. He's been going well in training, so well, that's the nature of the game. That's what the panel's for. But Kevin was very honest himself in his assessment. He picked up a kind of a calf injury last week, but he got intensive treatment on it, enough to get him on the bench.
A terrible thing for Kevin, but great for Mickey as well, wasn't it? An opportunity.
Yeah, Kevin's come back this year and really put an awful effort into it, and he's a tremendous fella, a tremendous lad in the panel, you know, and but he's honest, and that's what we appreciate, and that's what we hope we have in the panel, and Mickey gets his chance.
What sort of a game do you expect today, Mickey? Because I suppose you look back over the years, the replays, they're normally different games to the drawn matches.
Yeah, well, I expect the two teams to go at each other again. It's whoever has gone back and recovered enough sufficiently, and whoever has recovered mentally and actually built on that, and you know, it's a team with a greater hunger in a replay that's going to take it, and you know, I don't think both teams will be lacking, and certainly things have gone well during the week, and hopefully all we ask of the lads to go out and perform.
Nick, first of all, everybody as selected, everything's okay, is it?
Yes, we're injury free and we're playing as selected, so there's no change.
What sort of a match do you expect out there today? Last week was great open attacking football.
Yeah, well, I think you'll have the same thing again today, because both of them are footballing sides, and you know, I suppose they're a team that carry the ball quite a lot and hold it quite a bit and try to get into good position to get scores and that type of stuff. So I think we should have a good game of football again today.
Are you happy that you've another game within 7 days? Is that the way you like it, to have the games come and thick and fast?
Well, I suppose the ideal scenario would be if we could have a game every 2 weeks. But I mean, we just have to put up with it now. We have played, I think, is it 4 games in 5 weeks, so that's pretty tough going for us, all right. But we've been very lucky. We have had no injuries, and I suppose that has been a plus.
That's the views of the managers coming up to this first game at 2 o'clock. Colin Moore, can I just pick up one that Mickey Moran was saying there about the recovery period for teams? It's a week since the last game. Laois have had a long road, I suppose, to come here. Mayo less so, and a week again before they play an All-Ireland semi-final.
Yeah, well, I'd say what Mick said there, that a fortnight is about ideal. You know, you have a week then to sort of recover from the knocks, and, you know, a week to build up. But, you know, Tyrone last year played 10 games. It didn't take any effect on them. But Mayo having one extra game, it certainly should bring them on a lot. You know, we've seen the problem with provincial winners, that they have long gaps and have suffered as a result. We saw it with Armagh, so like, you know, Mayo should benefit, but I think that Laois also will benefit from looking at a lot of the mistakes they made.
I suppose if Mayo win this game, Joe, you know, that week for next week's game against the Dubs won't be so much of a problem, because they will be a bit fresher.
No, well, that's right, and the one thing that they haven't had is momentum. We were talking last week about their inaction over 6 weeks. Meanwhile, Laois had played 4 games in that same period, and so they'll have been delighted to play the game, and it will bring them on. I mean, last week they didn't have that sort of championship intensity. The defending was far too loose. I mean, Donny Brennan came on, and I mean, Donny's a good tricky wee player. Within 15 minutes he had scored 3 points from play. Chris Conway scored 4 points from play. I mean, James Nallen never had a glove on him. Garvin, who was really an experiment at full forward, scored 3 points from play, and he didn't put a glove on him. You know, I mean, Laois ended up with 12 points from play in a major championship match, which is a huge haul of points from play. You wouldn't score that against the like of Armagh for years. So you'd expect Mayo will have tightened up considerably since then over the week.
Okay, well, the scene is almost set then. The fans have been arriving in their droves for their first match and looking forward to this second confrontation between Mayo and Laois. That's coming up after this commercial break. The RTE Bank of Ireland Man of the Match competition today. You have a chance to win 2 tickets to the Bank of Ireland Senior Football Semi-Finals on August 27th, plus overnight accommodation for 2 in the Jury's Towers Hotel in Ballsbridge. Each competition winner will also be entered into a draw to win 2 tickets for the All-Ireland Football Final, and that's courtesy of the Bank of Ireland. To enter, all you have to do is select your man of the match from today's Mayo versus Laois game, the game coming up now. If your chosen player matches the man of the match selected by the Sunday game panel, then you will be in with a chance to win. To enter, call 1515 717182, or you can text MATCH followed by your man of the match selection to 57111. Now, viewers from Northern Ireland can call 0901 0630 118. And there are details on RTE Airtel page 193. Those lines remain open until 3:45 p.m. today, and the winner will be announced in tonight's Sunday game programme. So have a good bit of fun with that. Now, at this point, we're going to take a check on the 2 teams ahead of the first match in the commentary box. We join Ger Canning.
Thanks very much indeed, Michael. We're going to start with the Connacht champions. Mayo changed their goalkeeper for this match after John Healy experienced some uncertain moments during the second half of the drawn game. His replacement is his Ballina teammate David Clark. At top of the left, the vacancy there by Mickey Moran, it goes to Michael Conroy, his first start in the championship, penciled in fact on the right, as you can see. And elsewhere, Dermot Geraghty and James Nallen will be glad of the chance, I suppose, to redeem themselves after experiencing real difficulty when these teams met a week ago. Well, Laois's impressive corner forward Donny Brennan may have kicked 3 memorable points last time out, but it's not enough to earn a place in the starting 15. Brian McCormack returns to wing forward after a less than distinguished 35 minutes last Sunday. Paul MacDonald, who was forced off by injury in that exciting contest, is substituted this afternoon by under-21 player Peter O'Leary, and the experiment of playing Noel Garvin at full forward is continued after it was deemed a big success in the drawn game. So a certain amount there to mull over, Michael.
Oh, an awful lot to mull over there, Ger. Thank you very much indeed. Joe, you've been mulling over the Mayo team, and I was just saying to you a moment ago...
It doesn't take a lot of mulling over.
No, but the perception is that Mayo kick a lot of wides, and I suppose they do. They didn't kick that much more than Laois last week, but you think they're wiser?
Well, I think that the big problem with them is that when they're dominating games, they're kicking wides and it's sapping their confidence, and whether or not it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy or whether they just don't have the abilities, hard to say. But I mean, against Leitrim, for example, they beat Leitrim by a point. They really dominated the game. They kicked a huge amount of wides. You know, against Galway, they were utterly dominant throughout the game.
Unfortunately, but anyway.
Against Galway, they were utterly dominant throughout the game and won by a point. And it was a last-minute point scored by a free by Conor Mortimer. I mean, they just kicked wide after wide after wide after wide. Again last week against Laois in the first half, when they were absolutely in the driving seat, they kicked 10 wides and spurned 3 goal chances.
The goal chances
in the same period, Laois kicked 2 wides. You know, so I mean, Mayo should have been out of sight at half-time last week. And, you know, it's a big problem. They're doing most of the things that are required to win a game, but the most important thing they're not doing.
Yeah. Colin, what about Laois? I mean, they are only 2 games away from an All-Ireland final.
Yeah, and they've had to work bloody hard to get this far. You know, they're not able to do anything the easy way. You know, both teams, I think there's a certain lacking in them. And I think in the last game here, we see one of the big disadvantages from a Laois point of view was poor defending. Now, Joe Higgins is a very good defender. I wouldn't fault him. No. He was getting caught one-on-one, and he had a very good first half. But Mortimer is a really good player. He's improved a lot over the last couple of years.
Played excellent the last year.
He did, and he was the one fella that took the responsibility for Mayo when things were going badly. You know, a lot of them were willing to sort of pass the parcel, but here we had, at times, Laois were in complete control. Brendan Quigley should have passed inside there. Again, look at this. You know, Mayo, easy wides. This is as simple as it gets. And here we have a great chance of a goal coming up here. Gets inside his man, you know, decides then that he's going to take an extra touch. Chance of a goal gone, Ross Munley. And these are the sort of small mistakes that cost big games. And again here, a lack of clinical finishing. That's the problem. You know, man on the line kicks it really straight at him.
Oh, yes.
And at times in the second half last Sunday, I thought Laois had Mayo on the ropes and just couldn't finish them off.
Dublin are waiting for the winners. Who's it going to be?
I'll stick with Laois.
Joe?
Well, I mean, again, I think you've got toss. I know a wee feeling from Mayo. I think they've showed plenty of heart last week, and maybe they've just got a wee bit more all around. You know, it's hard to. I mean, look, it's
Will
impossible.
this game have brought on Mayo enough? As we talked about them being a bit ring rusty last
it's
week.
bound to have brought them on a lot, you know, and they'll have seen quite a lot of things last week that they needed to see, and I mean, it will have brought them up to the pace of the game. And but the perennial problem with them is, I mean, will they take the chances when they're there? I mean, you know, if they have forwards who lack craft and class, and that's a problem that isn't going to go away. But sooner or later, Mayo are bound to have a bumper spell where they hit 9 or 10 points in a row.
You can't see Mayo scoring 316 or something like that in the game. You know, so like, the reality of today's game is probably going to be 113, 114 would win it.
They will want all these guys like Mortimer, the way he played the last day, to play like that again, to get something more maybe out of Billy Joe Padden, a few scores there, or Alan Dillon, etc.
Yeah, well, I thought Alan Dillon was very good the last day. And again,
Except he missed that goal.
We don't want to focus on MacDonald again, but like MacDonald drifted in and out of the game last week instead of playing a central role in it.
All right, lads, thanks for your comments on that. So let's join our commentators for this first match here in Croke Park then, and that is Ger Canning, and he's with Kevin McStay.
Thanks very much indeed, Michael. As you can see, Croke Park, it's about half full at this stage, as Fergal Byron from Courtwood in County Laois is issuing last-minute instructions there to his colleagues in that Laois huddle. I must say, I'm one of those who really did enjoy the game here 7 days ago. It's probably the tablets I'm on, the happy pills, they're working, Kevin. What about you? What do you make of this replay? Because replays, well, they always take on a different character, don't they?
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the different angles people take on last week's match, but a lot of it was really the quick passing by both teams. They didn't bring the ball into the tackle, and yes, there was an absence of physicality in the game, and we do like to see that as well. Notwithstanding that, I found it a decent game. I'm looking forward to a good replay. The scoring patterns are going to be very interesting. For instance, can Chris Conway come up with 6 again? I doubt it. Joe Higgins is surely going to mark Mortimer tighter. So where's the squeeze going to come, Joe? Where are these scores going to come to give us a winner? Very, very tight again. I genuinely feel Mayo will have come on a wee bit more, a touch more, point or two for Mayo.
Okay. Laois, by the way, won the toss, and they've opted to play from left to right in the first half. It's going to be exactly as it was at the start of the match last week. Joe McQuillan is the referee from Kilshamrocks in County Cavan. Some Mayo players will know him very well. Some Cork players will know him very well also, because he was in charge of this year's under-21 final, which of course Mayo won, beating Cork in Ennis. Well, Kieran MacDonald has moved around, Ger Brady has moved as well, Alan Dillon has moved, but that's the nature of this. It means that Kieran MacDonald is starting on Tom Kelly on the 40. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back closer to his own goal pretty soon. Moran has made some changes, change of goalkeeper. He's brought in Michael Conroy as well. Joe McQuillan is poised, place in the semi-finals against Dublin at stake. And this replay underway, and straight away it's Mayo with Pod Hart trying to engineer the first attacking move. Foul there by Brian McCormack, Bruno as he's known. Played in here towards Alan Dillon once again. Very much in the thick of it last week, of course. Well, dealt to the head as well for his troubles.
To the head, but he's generated a free that I'd expect McDonald will go very close with Ger. He has the range, and there he takes a short one.
Good ball inside there towards Michael Conroy. Played back towards Mortimer, trying to make an angle for himself. Again, closed down very quickly this time, because they know his threat from last week, if they hadn't realised it many times before. The referee opting to throw this ball in. It's about 30 metres out from that Laois goal. Dillon once again here. Ger Brady will be hoping to be much more involved this afternoon. Likewise, Kieran MacDonald. Back for Brady, angle very tight. Now what are the options? Back towards Dillon. MacDonald once more, trying to open up the play, but that's a bad option. Straight to Tom Kelly. First real promising move for Mayo, breaks down badly. and Laois can counter with Ross Munnelly, but he's 65 metres out. Transferred here to Brian McCormack, past the referee, and he misjudges again the player he was looking for, and it's Patter Gardner eventually who takes it out. James Nallen hoping to up his performance. Todd Hart busy as ever. Moving ahead of him, Keith Higgins. On to MacDonald. Challenged by Pádraig McMahon. Looking for the opening point. Dropping to the right, however. That's two attacking moves by Mayo, going unrewarded so far. MacDonald involved, however, in both of the early moves.
Yeah, well, as Mayo like to do, putting a lot of ball through the hands of Kerr MacDonald. He is holding his number 11 position a lot stronger than he was last week, and I think that's a welcome development for Mayo.
He set up the first point of the match last Sunday for Conor Mortimer, then he drifted more and more back and effectively out of the game. Ger Brady. Hart now. A lot of work for the inside forwards, a lot of movement required on their part. It's Michael Conroy, played again just his third championship match, his first for the All-Ireland final of 2004, when Conor Mortimer was playing against Kerry as well. This to make a bright start, but it's not such a bright start for him. Cursing his luck. So a second wide of the match for Mayo. Not the brightest of starts. Remember, they had 12 wides in last Sunday's encounter, and 9 of those were in the first half.
Yeah, both wide, you'd have to say scoreable, Ger. Good to see Conroy, though, out quick to that ball. Going well in training, we hear. Very fast corner forward.
That was Pat Hart misjudging his jump and in on top of his immediate opponent. Free kick awarded. Laois, who led at one stage of the first half by 6 points to 2 last Sunday. And that's Noel Garvin, and he is causing problems immediately for David Heaney. And that's a ticking for the man from Swinford, who is the Mayo captain this year. And it gives a very simple chance now for Laois to go in front immediately here. Their first attack.
I have to say, Ger, that is really a handy free, no matter what way you look at it. Defender of his experience won't give away a 13-metre free from that position, and he won't be intending to foul. Very soft one there.
Ross Munnelly playing in his 23rd championship match for his county on a bright summery afternoon in Croke Park. Breeze is not a factor. Pleasant fresh day. Should be the first point. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Whatever we said last Sunday, ditto this week. Nico, not one bit happy.
Just about to pencil him down for the opening point. Ross Munnelly, very uncharacteristic of him, and he put it well wide for a very, very scoreable position.
Well, that's a let-off for David Heaney and for Mayo, conceding that free against Noel Garvin. He doesn't look comfortable against Garvin.
Yeah, he's a big guy, Garvin. He's going to cause trouble on anybody.
That's a huge leap in the air by Quigley, but he missed it completely. But coming from behind in a support play, Aidan Fennelly. Now, Munnelly once again trying to make immediate amends. Pádraig Clancy looking for a support player. Kelly coming through a ruck of Mayo players, getting it on the left boot, hitting it crisply, but once again drifting to the left. Bad start. 5 minutes of play, no scores, several attacking ideas, a couple of good chances, all of them spurned.
And our guys in the studio in their pre-match analysis concentrated a lot on the wides and how right they are. There have been some horrible ones already with the game only 5 minutes old. 2 to each team. Poor shooting.
A long way to go. David Clark back in the Mayo team, his 5th championship outing. Broken down to Ross Munnelly once again. Support player this time is Chris Conway. Here's Quigley. Nicely played in, handled with some difficulty there by Billy Sheehan. Played off swiftly there for Brian MacDonald, and Bino has measured it well. If it drops down, it drops short, it drops dangerously, and it's Heaney who gets it away. Another scoring opportunity missed by Laois. Should have been put over the bar. James Nallen. They had the first couple of attacks. MacDonald beautifully in here to Billy Joe Padden, taking it past McMahon and swiftly driving it over the bar for the opening score after 6 minutes of play. That's a bit more like it. Mickey Moran's team then going into the lead here at Croke Park in this quarter-final. Good attacking idea here on the part of Billy Joe Padden, and effortlessly gliding it over the bar.
Actually touches, this was so dangerous for Mayo, Ger. David Clark showing a lot of nerves. He hasn't played much this season, and similar to last week, ball breaks off a keeper.
He's come back from a groin operation. Once again, Alan Dillon taking on Darren Rooney this time. Support player is Michael Conroy. Played off to MacDonald once more, coming deeper and deeper. Here's Ronan McGarity, thankfully recovered from that injury. On towards Ger Brady, did well to hold on to the shoulder coming in from Darren Rooney. Still Brady, very tight angle, but he's got it really well, and it's over the bar. Ger Brady's first point, Mayo lead by 2. And there was a ticking there for Tom Kelly after all of that. This was a very good move.
Yeah, really, you have to put that one down to McGarity. Keir MacDonald had the ball, not going anywhere really, going laterally. McGarity straightened up the line, went clean through the Laois defence, and a lovely pass into Brady, converts, good score.
Well, it was for that knock on Ronan McGarity that Tom Kelly got his ticking by the match referee Joe McQuillan. This is it again here. Oof.
Yeah, it's not over. This happens a lot. The referees are picking up on it, but nothing outrageous, in my opinion.
Well, good to see him back, McGarity, into midfield alongside Pat Hart, because there was this concern he wouldn't be able to play this week. Nobody knew the full extent of the injury. There was fear there might have been a fracture. You may remember he was on the sideline for 5 minutes, and no replacement came in. This is Quigley. This is Monolly. Well, he missed an easy one a little while ago from a free. He's missed this one as well. 3 wides now for Laois, who've made a horrible start.
Well, he has to, Ger, because there are players inside the 13-metre line as the keeper has taken that. That's not allowed. The advantage can't accrue, and he's asking him to retake it.
Rico Dwyer will be quite unhappy with the way his side has started this contest. 8.5 minutes are gone. Lacking that killer instinct in the inside forward line. McGarity beaten in the air by Brendan Quigley. Forward here towards Chris Conway. Hart trying to close him down. Conway still. Bino. Oh, never curled in for him. He thought it was going to drift in a little bit.
I think the referee will be looking for Jimmy Nallen too, you'll find. And he is.
And he's given him a ticking. There it is again here.
It's a 4 shot. And you have to say that Laois are squandering a lot of possession also. They certainly should have their account open by now.
This time Mayo go short. They only won 50% of their own kickouts last Sunday. Potter Gardner. Here's Heaney, jersey pulled. Referee says play on. Out as far as James Nallen. Ronan McGarity hoping to be a much bigger influence this week. Towards Conroy. Doing enough on it there, back towards MacDonald. 3 Laois players around him. Holding it up. There's a run being made ahead there by Billy Joe Padden. Going short instead to Michael Conroy. Good block down. Still travel forward there. Mortimer's after it. Letting fly, but not able to link up with another player, and not carrying enough power in the shot himself. Wasted opportunity once again by Mayo. Well, these two teams haven't benefited by the week's break so far, as Fennelly takes off. Quigley. Heaney judging the bounce of that expertly. Good play. Out for James Nallen. Nice play again. Gardner. Moving effortlessly forward. Quigley's after him. He's made up a lot of ground. Kieran MacDonald. Oh, heavily shouldered. Away by Quigley in the end. And MacDonald unable to make any kind of headway. Laois just 2 points behind. Haven't started well, but loads of time as Clancy pumps it in. Pressure on Heaney. Did well. Second time of asking. Gets it out to the unmarked Ronan McGarity. Very slack marking. Away towards Alan Dillon. Aidan Fennelly chasing after him. Change of roles for Aidan Fennelly this week. He'd been on Kieran MacDonald last week. This is Ger Brady, already with 1 point, looking for another. Again, it drops short to Fergal. Byron. Clancy unmarked. Marking is so lax. Unbelievable. Conway. Clancy once again. Down towards Bino MacDonald. Taking on Keith Higgins, who went off last Sunday because he was absolutely whacked, he was saying afterwards. Did well.
Did very well.
Higgins. This is Aidan Higgins. Two Higginses in the Mayo back line. David Heaney. Huge one down. Case of timing the jump. They did well. Dillon down for MacDonald. In towards Mortimer. Getting in there swiftly was Joe Higgins. Again, it's going to be some duel between Mortimer and Joe Higgins. And Higgins will want to keep Mortimer well and truly under lock and key this week, you can be sure. They work it into Dillon once again. Good scoring chance for him. I was just going to say he couldn't miss, could he, from there? But he did.
Well, I'm afraid when you're a Mayo forward and the goal is open, you can miss. That's a horrible wide for Alan Dillon. Did great work in the lead-up. So the lovely dummy to Aidan Fennelly. And you're absolutely right, Joe. This is just a little soft curl, right to left. Gets under it, miscues and wide.
Oh, his approach was completely wrong. Lots and lots of pressure, however. Ger Brady, man who came back into the Mayo colours. Conroy kicked a goal and a point when he came on as a sub in 2004 in the final, and he's kicked this one wide. And the wides are now just mounting up. 4 for Mayo after just 13 minutes.
And 4 on the other side also, Ger, so that's, you know, just under a wide a minute.
McGarrity, he was pushing. Pushed quickly just before that ball dropped in the middle, and the referee has penalised Mayo a further 13 minutes for 13 metres for arguing the toss that time. Conway taking very quickly in towards Bino MacDonald, making an angle, well blocked down by Keith Higgins, comes back out to Dermot Geraghty, worked away towards Aidan Higgins. Good covering by Mayo at the back. Patter Gardner. Mayo still with their 2 points advantage. A lot of work there for Billy Joe Padden to do to try and keep it in play. And in the end, it's come off the leash man. Dermot Geraghty in some distress across on the far side of the field. That's the reason for the delay at this stage. So the medical people required. Dermot Geraghty, like the Mortimers, he's from Shrule in Glencorrib, small in stature I suppose, but now with a very big heart. Had a lot of trouble with Tony Brennan when Brennan came on at half-time last week. The doctor Fergal Ruan attending to him.
He looks in trouble, Ger, there, and he's a hardy little buck. Dermot Geraghty, I can assure you, wouldn't go down easily, and that he will be a worry because he looks in a little bit of pain there.
Well, the two managers, I'm sure, would love this chance now to get to their players and just reassure them that things can improve. 15 minutes are gone. It's been a bad start by both teams. Mayo marginally happier. They've got the only 2 points. And Wally limps back into the action. Now, will he be able to continue in a meaningful way, however? Because they won't take a chance if they've got a player struggling. MacDonald to kick in this line ball. Back from Dillon. Chance to belt it in once again, but again it's inaccurately hit. And that's taken by Aidan Fennelly. He was fouled by Conor Mortimer. Worked out here as far as Brian McCormack. Beautifully forward for Bino MacDonald. On the run, and that's over the bar. That's more like it. Laois get their first score in the 16th minute. And it's Bino has done it for them. 2-1.
What a magnificent pass from Brian McCormack. Took out the Mayo defender Keith Higgins, and actually that's a 3-on-2 for Laois if he works it in. But I think his confidence was a little bit down. Did well to take the point.
It was a Bruno to a Bino. Here's Alan Dillon. Here's Gardner stepping away from Brian McCormack that time, trying to set up another attack. Ger Brady struggling to hold on, but he was being dragged back. free in for Mayo. Book is shown there to one of the Laois players. It's Peter O'Leary.
And it is, yeah. Good call by the referee, Joe McQuillan.
O'Leary from this year's under-21 team. He's actually 21, works in the building industry. Big moment for him today, second championship game, first start.
Mr. McGurty seems to have recovered. I'm just watching him here off camera, Ger, so he's back jogging lightly. He seems to be okay.
Good news for Mayo. Alan Dillon from Ballintubber to try and stretch the Mayo lead. They need to improve, and they're starting to do so. First pointed free of the afternoon after a wretched start by both teams. It's 3-1.
These short kickouts are causing Mayo and Laois to a lesser degree awful trouble, and it should be easily rectified. Bit of concentration.
Well, Mayo now hoping to build on that score, their first in 10 minutes play. Kieran MacDonald once again. Back to Ronan McGarity. Sent in towards Michael Conroy, and he's fouled, causing a few problems. He's a willing operator. Darren Rooney, the one who committed the indiscretion. Just a little run here, pushing the back there on Conroy. And that one has sailed over the bar. Conor Mortimer with his first pointed free. Or point from play, I should say.
Yeah, it was a free that he should have taken, but Mayo improvised, and quick exchange of passes made it the angle easier and the distance, and Conor obliged. Risky strategy, though.
Well, he took on the pressure last week as he did in the Connacht final. That's a hefty knock there on Keith Higgins, but he's up. Willing young man, Pat Hart, back once again. All about eking out a result here this afternoon, a winning performance by one of these teams. Kieran MacDonald, short this time, little block on it. Back there to mop it up, Joe Higgins, sending it away to Darren Rooney. Via Quigley, on towards Billy Sheehan once again. Does Trojan work in the colours of Laois. Russ Munnelly, who could do with a score just to get his confidence going. Coming through the centre once again is Brendan Quigley. Huge ball dropped in there towards Noel Garvin, and this time Heaney is out, got first touch on it, was fouled after that, and that'll do his confidence an awful lot of good. Yeah, remember Noel Garvin got 3 points last week.
He did, and that was one of the points I was making at the beginning, Ger, that hard to see Chris Conway and Noel Garvin providing 9 points on the Laois tally this week. I think that's where they're going to have the trouble. In fairness to Heaney has done excellent. That's about his third ball in a row now on Garvin, so that'll sap Garvin a wee bit, and then Laois will say maybe we need him out around the middle of the field, and that's another danger taken away then from their offensive setup.
He's obviously a cause for some concern just now. That shoulder went down awkwardly, but just getting the hands in there, may not catch it cleanly, but he's keeping it away from Noel Garvin, limiting the Laois man's effectiveness. Again, the doctor required.
He's a terrific guy, this villager, giving great service to the county. Year in, year out, he's back for more, and terrific servant, as I say. Great footballer, very classy defender.
Both managers looking very intense on the sideline. Day of the fourth quarter-final of the championship replay. Here's David Clark. Aidan Higgins now took a very dangerous ball off the line in the second half last week. Heaney once again going this way and that. Billy Joe Padden, one of those link players between defence and attack. Pat Hart, strong, going by Clancy the first time. Kelly pushing forward tenaciously, keeping it away from MacDonald. No nonsense central defender. Nicely ahead here for Billy Sheehan. Again the look up to see who's moving for him. Not the best of balls. Garrity showing he has shrugged off the injury earlier on. Here he comes. Nicely forward there for Ronan McGarity. A good support play from Keith Higgins. Higgins going for it, and Higgins has put it over the bar, and that's his first ever score in championship football. What a moment. 21 minutes into this replay, he's made it 5 points to 1.
Well, if it's his first one, Ger, what one to pick. That's the score of the match. Great interchange, going nowhere for a sec, but Higgins again, as I say, straightens up the line, and what a score to open your championship account.
Coming back here once again, Brendan Quigley. Laois only 1 point to show for 21.5 minutes. Not good. Garvin trying to break it. Clancy coming on. Got a goal against Offaly. He'll be happy with a point here. Draws a white flag. Pádraig Clancy's first. 5 points to 2. Laois fans a little happier.
And Heaney down on his knees again after the challenge from Garvin. A very good challenge from Garvin. Breaks the ball to advantage, and Clancy does very well. Thought about the goal for just a split second, but the wiser option, it was the point.
Well, now the referee, I think, has said to the doctor it's time to take David Heaney off and attend to him on the sideline. He's got a chin injury. There may be some blood there as well. So a blood substitution will be required, whether or which. So Mayo having to get a sub on quickly.
Pat Kelly.
Pat Kelly. Meanwhile, another Pat Hart. Kelly's in. Mayo are back to 15 players. Heaney's off receiving the attention. Potter Gardner steaming forward here, looking for another. Off to Alan Dillon, dragged down unceremoniously. And that's Aidan Fennelly, who's already got a ticking. Now, what will the referee do here? It could well be the first yellow card of the match. Probably will be. The position, and Mayo have themselves a free kick, and Laois have the first yellow card. Well, they got a yellow card from my records last week as well. Meanwhile, play held up because there is an injured player. It's Billy Joe Padden back down in the centre of the field. Well, it's more of a cramp than anything else, it seems.
I just, while we were breaking play, Ger, should make a short comment on the pitch today. You know, despite all the assurances we're having and all the work, no doubt, that's going into it, there's still a lot of players losing their feet again today.
It is the case. Conor Mortimer this time, it is a free, and that's his second of the game, and it's 6 points to 2. So it's a reverse of the position last week when Laois led by 6 points to 2 at one stage in the first half. David Heaney, meanwhile, some stitching being done over there by the team doctor. Running repairs. Bounces back once again here to Billy Joe Padden. Potter Gardner required. Out here to Ronan McGarity. Mayo having the chance to build up a platform against an out-of-sorts Laois team. Michael Conroy taking it around Ross Munnelly, doing so with some ease, alarmingly so from a Laois point of view. Back to Kieran MacDonald. An enterprising one in, it may bounce kindly. Brady's there, but Higgins in there with Peter O'Leary, and it's Peter O'Leary who wins the race. Really good work by the new wing half. They work it out as far as Pádraig Clancy. Fisted away here. Back from Munnelly to Pádraig McMahon. Now to Brendan Quigley, trying to keep it in play. Failing to do so. It's Ronan McGarity instead. 3 Laois players are after him. Very strong, authoritative figure. Billy Joe Padden. Nicely out for Alan Dillon. Good work by Mayo. Good support play. Now they need to take the correct options. Dillon working it in 40 metres out. Dragged down. Mayo doing all the correct things, but Brian McCormack here in trouble. That was rather cynical.
Great run by Dillon, but I have to go back to McGarity, Ger. He's the driving force that's in charge of this Mayo dominance for sure. He's linking up very well, doing a lot of work, and Dillon is taking a lot of very good options.
Well, this could be another card, and it is for second for a Laois player. They're not doing well. 25 minutes are gone. They've only got 2 points. They've got 2 yellow cards as well. And they're allowing Mayo to run the show.
No question about that one. Dillon taken out of it. And the yellow card for Brian McCormack just had to happen.
Well, in this good spell for Mayo now, on a fairly still afternoon, you would feel that the Westerners, the Connacht champions, need to get as many points as possible.
Well, this is the key, to press on your advantage now and get the gap.
Mortimer kicking truly and accurately, and that's a third for Conor Mortimer, 2 of them coming from frees. Heaney is back in the action. Pat Kelly has been replaced, and we understand that Donny Brennan is about to come in. It's early crisis time for Laois and for Mick O'Dwyer.
Yeah, with the yellow card now gone on to Brian McCormack, he might see a bit of time on the bench now, because very difficult to carry them these days.
So McCormack, the one who makes way. Donny Brennan in for his 9th championship match. 3 points last week, 12 points in all in his championship career. Now's the time once again to step up to the mark. So disappointment for Brian McCormack from Port Laois. And also
Michael Conroy has retired.
Michael Conroy, yes, is going, and Aidan Kilcoyne is coming in. So lots of changes. Meanwhile, Aidan Fennelly, who's one of those on a yellow card, working it out here to McMahon and then taking a return. They need to start linking. The cohesion needs to be a lot better. Garvin has come deep. Moving forward again here. Donny Brennan, the new man in for them. Dished off to Ross Munnelly. 5 points behind. They need to eat into that lead quickly. Failing to do so here. And that's 5 wides now for Ross Munnelly's team.
Well, it's Kilcoyne that's about to make his introduction for Mayo. He came on last week, Jerry, you'll recall, and kicked a brilliant point actually late on.
Well, he's now into the action, and very much a player that Mayo are looking to. He's come in for Billy Joe Padden, we understand. Late change there. They were considering another move, but it's Billy Joe Padden who's making his way off. Shake of the head ruefully there, but also replaced by Aidan Kilcoyne.
But Michael Conroy is sitting down. I'm watching him right underneath me.
Well, are they down to 14
That's
right
correct.
now?
That's correct.
Strange game. Chris Conway. Now for Bino. A lot of football to be played. Clancy kicking. Will it go in? It's gone to the right. Well, they're arguing the point here. Pádraig Clancy felt it did go in. And Kevin O'Neill is coming in for Mayo, who lead in the game by 7 points to 2. And Michael Conroy has made way. Well, Kevin O'Neill played a very clever match last week. Conroy will be disappointed. Afternoon over quickly. Quick early greeting there from Darren Rooney, I think, for Kevin O'Neill. O'Neill's approach play to so much of Mayo's attacks last week was very well crafted. He's a very clever player, and Darren Rooney knows what to expect.
John McQuillan has raced down to have a word with his umpire. There was really very little in it, just a bit of push. Welcome to the quarter-final replay.
I think the news from the sideline is that Michael Conroy was concussed. Hello, boys. Oops, elbows coming up.
Absolutely nothing in it, but I suppose when his attention is called to it, he has to be seen to take action.
So Kevin O'Neill and Darren Rooney, 2 players involved, so a couple of cards, I imagine.
And now, Ger, if anything small happens from here on in for either player, slipped, missed time, and they're on the line.
I'm sure when you were coming in at corner forward, you got many a warm greeting like that in your playing days. David Clarke's kick, big one, but it's won once again by Laois into Pádraig Clancy. Quickly played off here to Noel Garvin, now back around the middle of the park. Oh, it's kicked aimlessly and hopelessly, very wide of the target. 5 minutes to go to half-time, and I think Mick O'Dwyer will be hoping it's only a couple of points between them at the break so he can sit them down and get through to them, that they've got to buck up and they've got to improve. Here's Ger Brady. Taking off once again, running into a challenge of Chris Conway, who says, I was trying to meet him shoulder to shoulder. Referee didn't see it that way. The referee now wants the number of Chris Conway, so he's got a ticking as well for his troubles.
Well, that was a bit harsh on Chris Conway. I thought he actually stood his ground there. Ger Brady ran out of options, really. and just ploughed into him.
MacDonald all the way through, stopped by Byron. Laois goalkeeper trying to lift his team. They've had a bad first half. Got off to a bad start, haven't really managed to improve. Aidan Fennelly. They've got loads of time. They need scoring options. Oof, Fennelly's lost it. That's more or less symptomatic of what's gone on in the first half for Laois. Up to Kevin O'Neill. He could give this team a big lift now by his presence. Kieran MacDonald in a more forward role this week. Runners ahead. David Heaney coming forward. Took that courageously. One back, however, by the opposite number 3, Darren Rooney. Fouled in the process, free out.
And if he took it courageously, he also took the punishment that was going with it.
On the ground, now trying to get himself back on his feet once again. Likewise, Darren Rooney.
A fair hit, but a good hit. He had to go for it. It was a little bit high. The HI subscription coming with it in the post, but he had to go for it.
Laois go very short. Aidan Fennelly once again. Looking for players in support. They managed to get it out. Almost losing their way with Peter O'Leary there on the sideline, out over the line. Mayo ball. Great pressure play by Mayo. And the Mayo fans are enjoying it. Maybe they haven't travelled in the same numbers that were here last Sunday, but those in the ground right now are enjoying Mayo's lead of 7 points to 2. Keith Higgins. Pressurised by Laois's Tom Kelly. Back to Heaney, who's recovered. Quick look in. 1 against 2. Kevin O'Neill is the one. Joe Higgins trying to get it from him. Back to a support player, Alan Dillon. Dillon can strike. Will it curl? Not sufficiently. Short anyway. Byron swiftly out here. Once again finding Brendan Quigley. Pádraig Clancy, his midfield partner. Huge one up towards Bino MacDonald. Looking for Downey Brennan, you can be certain. Winning the race there against Garrity. Tormented him last Sunday. What will happen for the remaining minutes of this and the second half? MacDonald kicking in. Garvin was after it, unable to hold it, however. And that is 8 wides now by Laois.
Mick O'Reilly will be just get them in here quick, and I have a word with them as they're kicking themselves. They're kicking this game away. They should be a lot tighter, a lot closer. May have a 5-point gap, and the way Laois are playing, that's going to be so difficult to close.
They've done it before. I seem to remember Leinster Championship matches where they had very, very poor first halves and came out vigorously in the second. Still some minutes here to mount another attack. Monolly here into Downey Brennan. Played inside here, Clancy. Swiftly across here once again. Bino MacDonald hitting, and that one has gone over the bar. A point by Brian Bino MacDonald late in the first half, in the last minute in fact.
Well, as Bino puts this in, we might just see the Laois defender inside. All he's got to do is punch it over them. There he is, just beyond the penalty spot, if he had seen him. But it's a point, and a good one.
4 between them, 3 minutes of additional time to be played at the end of the opening 35 minutes, where Laois have had 12 scoring chances to Mayo's 15, and Mayo looking now for a 16th. That's Aidan Kilcoyne ahead for Pat Hart. Hart trying to get by Clancy. Mortimer now holding it up here. Outside of the left boot to Aidan Kilcoyne once again. Dropped short to Fergal Byron. So many elementary mistakes. That's a very bad hand pass. Conor Mortimer was around, and the foul in the end on Pádraig McMahon. But Laois getting themselves out of trouble just about that time.
Tick for Conor Mortimer, lazy tackle when he couldn't get to the ball. Picked up a needless one.
Free kick for Laois. Well, Mayo fans will be wondering, is 4 points of a lead good enough, knowing that we've had the majority of the play and most of the success in the first half? Joe Higgins, straight at James Nolan. Kevin O'Neill. MacDonald. wanting Dillon away from him to provide a better angle. Fresher idea. Dillon now trying to penetrate and holding the ball on the ground, and it's going to be a free out. Tom Kelly ready to take the free kick. Fennelly now. Another minute and a half of stoppage time still to be played at the end of this first half, which hasn't been inspiring by any manner of means. Peter O'Leary inside here for Chris Conway. No score in this, 6 points the last day, but he's engineered a free kick. And presumably he's going to be the one to take it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Chris realised there was a Mayo forward tracking him, and forwards aren't the best tacklers in the world, and he gives away a cheap one, which is very much in Ross Munnelly's arc. He should be able to swing it, although we did see him miss an easier one earlier on in the match. But it's not a difficult shot, sure, and Laois could do it. It only leave a goal between them, and that certainly doesn't reflect the dominance of Mayo.
No. So Russ Munnelly, it's a little further out than the one he missed after 5 or 6 minutes. Hasn't scored, but nobody in the half-forward line that started managed to score. Only one forward, Bino MacDonald's got 2 points for them anyway. He took care, and it was very worthwhile. Russ Munnelly with a late point from a free for Laois, and it looks a whole lot better now. There's only a goal in it. Is it the same old story for Mayo? So many chances, so many missed opportunities. A second half still to come in this replayed quarter-final.
And I think one stat that will worry Mayo is the amount of balls into the goalkeeper's hands. I wasn't watching it personally, but it must be up around 3 or 4.
Yeah. Aidan Kilcoyne jumping, trying to break it for Peter Gardner. Into scrap there, however, was Russ Munnelly, and the referee blows the whistle. End of the first half. Munnelly's down on the ground still. May require some attention. Mick O'Dwyer won't be one bit pleased with his side, in spite of the fact that they put on a spurt towards the end. Mickey Moran will be wondering, have they done enough when they had all the opportunities and all of the possession? Not as good as we saw 7 days ago. Munnelly trying to get himself back onto his feet and back into the dressing rooms. 15 minutes to recover. Let's hope the second half is better. It's Mayo 7, Laois 4 at half-time. We'll be back with analysis and more after this break.
Final replay between Mayo and Laois. Laois being beaten by Mayo 7 points to 4 at the moment. Joe Bradley and Colin O'Rourke, that's not much of a match so far.
No, the standard is dreadful. Last Sunday we hadn't a real match, but we had excitement. We've neither today, you know. Laois have been really stink, you know, and yet they're only 3 points behind. Mayo controlled really and played much the better football, but you know, they've got into their bad habits. Got into the bad habits, and the longer the game has gone on, the standard has dropped and dropped and dropped.
Fairness to the two teams, I suppose, Joe, you know, it's a week since they played here last week. It was a big pumped up game, if you like. They look like they're kind of tired after that.
Well, I don't think, in fairness to the teams, you know, I mean, I don't think that there's any excuse at this stage, you know, other than what we're seeing as two teams that essentially are incompetent, you know, and a lot of the basic things. I mean, Mayo are bad, Laois are worse. But
my point is, like, these are the same two teams. They were playing nice and bright football last week, so what happened to that?
Well, bright in a sense, I mean, look, last week, I mean, Mayo didn't defend at all. You know, at least one important change from Mayo today is that their full-backs are defending in front. So that Garvin has eventually been brought out the field because Heaney played in front of him. Last week, the Mayo defenders played inside their men, so a ball could be given through easily. Turning, I mean, Donny Brennan, Garvin, Chris Conway. I mean, they were scoring score after score after score without anyone near them. Mayo have cured that today, and you see that the big difficulty that Laois have had for years now is that they don't have a potent inside threat. So they're playing all their football out around you know, the half-forward area and out the field, but they're not really penetrating. As for Mayo, again, it's exactly the same problem. They don't have dangerous inside forwards who can really take advantage and who can create that sense of excitement.
One thing about Mayo, and I said this to you during that first half, Colin, they don't seem to care too much when they throw away possession.
Yeah, and easy wides and simple kicks, and everybody just sort of shakes their hands and get on with it. You know,
the crowd doesn't even grow anymore.
It should really annoy them here. You have Ger Brady, who has been very good in taking on his man, and he's making pace there.
And they have been good at that. They've been good at taking on the Laois defence.
You see, that's dreadful. I'm playing in Division 3 in Antrim now, and you know, our team say that never ever, under any circumstances, kick the ball into the goalkeeper's hands. Under any circumstances.
Look at the attempt of a tackle there by Aidan Fennelly. Like, Laois have a lot of fellas who have numbers on their backs, which says their backs, but they can't defend.
And that wide was Dylan, and he's one of the players that Mayo would be looking to, a fellow with a bit of confidence who's got a good kick and technique.
But it's that exasperation. They do the right, they'd get into nice scoring positions and then...
That's right, and I'll tell you an interesting thing. The crowd isn't even groaning anymore. The time was you'd come down here and Mayo would kick a pile of wides and we'd go, they don't even do that anymore. It's almost expected. The Mayo people have resigned themselves.
Well, Laois have been actually worse in terms of the wides.
Well, they have.
But they're more difficult wides. They're kicking from much further out the pitch. I mean, some of them missed a lot. I mean,
you look at the Laois team and you have wonderful defenders there like Tom Kelly, Joe Higgins and so on. Some of the tackling by some of the other defenders, I mean, it's like rugby league. I mean, there's stupid fouls for me.
Yes, well, we saw in that instance where Alan Dillon kicked an easy point. He just waltzed around Aidan Fennelly. And again, in this case, here's Fennelly again. Just drags his man down to the ground and complains like Dillon going to go by him. And of course, if he had to tackle Conor Mortimer properly last week, you know, he gave away that last silly foul that Mortimer equalised. So, like, you know, he's continued on. He's playing cornerback, but he can't defend.
Yeah, because there's one thing about Mayo, which is that if you run alongside them, get your hand in, get your hand out, just hold them up, slow them down, because of the tedious way that they play with everyone going on a shoulder run as soon as they get the ball, eventually they'll end up running around in circles. I mean, there was plenty of support back there. There's no need to pull them down. But it's just symptomatic of something that seems to happen to Laois when they have a big opportunity.
Yeah.
Every time we've seen Laois with a big opportunity to go to the next level, they have flunked it, which is precisely what they're doing at the moment.
Okay, well, for the moment, let's turn our attention to the second game here at Croke Park this afternoon. That's the All-Ireland football semi-final between Cork and Kerry. The commentators in that game are Martin Morrissey and Martin Carney. We'd like to hear what they have to say about this rematch between the two big Munster rivals. So let's go down to the side of the pitch right now and join them.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yes, it's a glorious day for Gaelic football and we're all looking forward to this Cork-Kerry clash. Kerry have just arrived in the dressing room here underneath the Hogan stand and they've told us that the team will line out as selected, so no late changes. Cork still underway, but anticipated no changes there. A lot of debate about Billy Morgan.
And Laois and preparing for their game. 7 points to 4 in Mayo's favour. They should push on from this column, but it's a low-scoring game and it's hard really to know what to make of the second half.
Yeah, well, it's certainly one thing, it could hardly be worse than the first half. But again, we go back to a point we debated here before. The players couldn't give, you know, a damn about the quality of the game if they get into the All-Ireland semi-final next. You know, they believe they're not here to entertain the people, they're here to win the match. And if they win it in a rotten bad game, well, that suits them fine. But the quality is bound to improve. It can't be worse.
That's okay if you're winning it in a rotten bad game where there's undisputed intensity in your play. But when you look at the nuts and bolts of how both teams play, you can see that neither team is really able to function.
Or the nuts and the spanners.
The nuts, it's a very good point. In fact, we haven't seen the spanner in the first half.
Yes.
And I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Please, spare us.
I mean, the problem with Mayo, you're saying that Mayo should kick on now, but they don't really have the quality or the confidence to kick on. I mean, for example, they were winning 7-2 by the 30th minute. In the 31st minute, in the 33rd and the 35th, they kicked 3 balls into the goalkeeper's hands. Easy chances into the goalkeeper's hands. It would have left them 10-2. Now Laois have got a couple of scores, it's only 7-4. It's hard to see either of these teams pulling away for an emphatic victory because there isn't that sort of quality and confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're just seeing is a sort of a mess of a game with very little pattern. I mean, for example, with Mayo, Mortimer's totally isolated up front now. He's being double marked most of the time. There's no plan B. With Laois, Garvin was the full forward, now he's the midfielder. I mean, it's chaos.
Garvin's lack of mobility has been showing up a little bit as a full forward. Like, he hasn't got the mobility of the likes of Donaghy or MacDonald to play inside. And they weren't kicking the ball in to best advantage to him. But, like, you know, they're not penetrating. They're getting the ball out the field and playing over and back.
Okay, well, let's go back again to our commentary team for this first live match of the day here at Croke Park. And we're going to rejoin Ger Canning and Kevin McStay.
Thanks, Michael. Yes, it's Mayo by 3 points at this stage. And that will please, I'm sure, Michael Malloy from Tour McKeady, Nicky Brennan and the Taoiseach and so on, all the distinguished people watching, hoping for better fare in the second half. I mentioned Michael Malloy's former Mayo minor under-21 players watching this game in Chicago, recovering from surgery, and really wished well. So let's get the second half underway, I'm sure is what Mick O'Dwyer and company are saying. Well, as usual, Kevin, our panel were sitting on the fence there, not exactly saying a hell of a lot about the contest. Let's hope it's a much better.
I'm interested in Joe talking about what the Mayo gap should be, and Terry McCarthy, our stats man, can tell us that it was 5 actually went into the goalkeeper's hands in that first half, and that's a lot of points.
It certainly is. Well, let's see Laois then start the second half with Quigley sending it along. It reaches Ross Monaghy. Oh, here's a move forward, but Peter O'Leary involved. Bino, the next piece of the equation, and that's a poor start. Promising, but poor. Failing to finish. Still, he got 2 points in the first half. Everything was good, everything was clever about it, but the final kick really lacked conviction.
And actually the pass that was given to him by the Laois attacker was put behind him. If it's put out in front of him, that's a goal chance for Bino, but the pass was atrocious, put 2-3 metres behind him. He had to adjust. He still should have got the score, mind you, but it wide.
He's had 6 attempts, he's got 2. McGarrity's got this, trying to launch Mayo's first attack in the second half. Patter Gardner's been excellent, pushing forward time and again. Ger Brady, it's cut out well here by Fennelly. Down once again towards Ross Monaghy. On the left, driven in towards Downey Brennan. Again, Dermot Geraghty got a hand to that, but just deflects it momentarily. Clancy's coming forward, really good promising opportunity, and he's gifted it once again to Geraghty, out as far as Aidan Higgins, and Mayo once again breathe a sigh of relief. Ron McGarity out to Aidan Kilcoyne. Strong young man, under 21 this year, won an All-Ireland back at that level in May. Kevin O'Neill. Kieran MacDonald kicking enterprisingly with the left. Somehow that's gone over the bar. That's what he's capable of. An almost impossible angle, and all of a sudden it's 8 points to 4, and it's the first point of the second half. Kevin O'Neill involved. Wretched angle, but he somehow managed to split the posts.
That is some shot, sure. In fairness to him, you know, he's on the wrong side, it's going nowhere, and he has that ability. Magnificent kick.
Great catch by Pádraig Clancy. Well, they made a promising start, failed to score with their first attack. Now Chris Conway hasn't scored so far in the game. Inside towards Downey Brennan. Much now being expected of the youngster. Back once again to Bino. Nicely inside here for Peter O'Leary. One of the names for the future, maybe. Loses it, and it's Geraghty once again. Tough and strong, Dermot Geraghty. Out to Ger Brady, but they're inside their own 20-metre line still. Higgins now. There's a gap. Pat Hart. Plenty of space. Movement ahead. Alan Dillon keeping it away from Aidan Fennelly. Kieran MacDonald, his confidence will be high. It's in for Dillon. It's an awkward enough chance. Has to go back, check his stride. Pressurised by Aidan Fennelly. Conor Mortimer kicking, and Conor Mortimer has got it over the bar. That is his 4th point in this game. 2 of them from play, 2 of them from frees, and it's 9-4.
And it's with his right foot. That's a collector's item down Mayo way. But lovely bit of work by Kerr MacDonald. Dink to beauty over the top for Alan Dillon. That's what created the chance.
He's 4 from 6, Conor Mortimer. That's 4 points from 6 shots. David Heaney. Kilcoyne challenged strongly. Tom Kelly waiting for the ball to go over the sideline. Laois ball.
Mo Darvin has stayed in a full forward, and Laois do need him out here because they're getting hammered at midfield, in my opinion.
Joe Higgins in towards Garvin this time. He's got to try and win it. It runs on to Downey Brennan. He's held 20 metres out. It's taken very quickly. Here's a chance. Good stop. Really good chance that time. It was Brendan Quigley who was coming forward. That was a great opportunity. Credit the goalkeeper, David Clark. Mayo work it forward again here, having had a lead off. David Heaney. The crowd raising the decibel level again here. Geraghty to space, bad ball. Should be Peter O'Leary's, shouldered there by Kevin O'Neill. He's protesting that it was a fair shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. I think the Laois man was not anticipating the run on the blind side.
Both players not running in the same direction as the ball, and that charge really is an unfair one. I see a black card been waved at somebody, not sure who.
Probably Kevin O'Neill. Peter O'Leary, the one who is down as a result of all of that. Well, he's a tough young player from the O'Dempsey's club.
Well, now that's to say that Kevin O'Neill now has a black and a yellow jersey, and he is on thin ice.
It's kicked ahead here, and there's some holding. It's a Mayo free kick. Oh, correction. It's a Laois free kick. Ross Munnelly ready to take. Father Gardner there, shown the black card. So a lot of players on tickings. Ross Munnelly ready to kick this, just inside the 45-metre line. Important free kick, early stages of the second half. Only 5 minutes in. Measured to perfection. A second pointed free by Ross Munnelly. And it's 9 points to 5. 2 from 3 for Munnelly from frees.
It's a beautifully swung over. I just want to go back to the keeper's save in the last play, the Quigley chance. If he puts it low, it's a goal for Laois for sure. That's why Clark is the keeper. Stood big, stood his ground and made a fine save.
Again, a huge kick out by David Clark. Fisted down by Clancy. Laois doing well at midfield, but now Mayo trying to pick up the pieces here with Kieran MacDonald. Todd Hart's available. Drifting forward as a left half forward. Going for the score himself, and the referee says there's a foul over there.
It's Kieran MacDonald who was pulling out of Tom Kelly on the third man, making room for Hart to get the point. I think he did kick it over as well from a difficult angle, so it's a loss. City one.
So for that third man tackle, it's Laois who have possession. Tom Kelly once again taking it back there. Inside towards Bino MacDonald. Not a lot happening for him just now. James Nallen. Worked ahead by Kilcoyne as far as Aidan Higgins. Darting forward, pursued by Chris Conway. Leaving it there for Kieran MacDonald. Player available is Kevin O'Neill. MacDonald. Spraying it in here towards Alan Dillon. Keeper comes, gets a good fist to that one. Impressively away from goal. Ger Brady coming onto it. Taking on the man who was Peter O'Leary. Stopped by Joe Higgins. Back once again to Ronan McGarrity. Keeper comes a second time. Got there ahead of Kilcoyne. In comes O'Neill. Out comes Tom Kelly. More importantly, he's got the ball. Well, that was really good goalkeeping by Fergal Byron. Twice he came. He's down injured, by the way, as play continues with Billy Sheehan. Garvin. Held on here by Bino MacDonald. Now Garvin again. This is Sheehan, the inside forward line combining. Boric Clancy from Timahoe. Placed beautifully over there for Chris Conway. Covering is MacDonald. He's beaten. Conway stealing in. Daying it back here for Donny Brennan, beating the attempted block, and that's gone over the bar. Donny Brennan coming in with his first point since being introduced as a sub midway through the first half, and it's 9 points to 6, only 3 between them as we were at half time. Good play by Laois, great finishing by Brennan, and not for the first time.
Yeah, it was the solo dummy by Chris Conway that made the opening. Kieran MacDonald was tracking him, but he bought the solo dummy, got the ball across to a very dangerous player at this stage, Donny Brennan, and he threw it over the bar.
Well, the Moirishka for Laois brought it to the referee's attention that the Laois goalkeeper needed some time to recover. Kevin O'Neill has been taken off, replaced by Barry Regan, number 26, and that, I think, is because of the ticking and the yellow card that he was on.
Yes, I think you can be pretty sure that's exactly it. Mickey Moran said to us beforehand that the calf injury was good enough to let him play. That's a tactical substitution, and a good one.
Had to use it. Billy Sheehan again, winning a lot of ball for Laois now. Better in the second half. Peter O'Leary. Heaney's back defending. Garvin looking for options. Finding Chris Conway, who's found Boric Clancy. Only 3 points the margin. They go to Munnelly. Kicking it short again. David Clark. Out to Higgins. That's Keith Higgins.
Why didn't Clancy kick that over the bar? He was in so much space.
Good counter-attack by Mayo, by Peadar Gardner. Played to Kilcoyne. Aidan Kilcoyne kicking it inside here to the new man, Barry Regan. Finding Conor Mortimer. Nice little dodge around Higgins that time. Sheehan was coming back, they're all coming back, and in the end, too many steps taken by Conor Mortimer. Free out to Laois.
That's a hard call.
It's a hard call because it was borderline, I think. Maybe 4.5 steps. Chris Conway out as far as Bino MacDonald. Looking for Donny Brennan, a match winner potentially for Laois. If they can get good ball into him, tormenting Dermot Geraghty again. Firing it, it's going left. Keeper Kane wisely decided to leave it out and harmlessly wide. And that is 10 wides now by Laois. Awful shooting.
The game has livened up during the second half. You know, the opening 10 minutes has been a lot livelier than the first half, anything that we did see in that first half. And the game is still very, very available to both sides. You can't call a winner even at this stage.
I think I can remember Laois being about 7-2 down at half-time in a Leinster Championship match. I mentioned it earlier, and they came back to win that game. David Clarke's kick, huge one. McGarity with a great catch. Good primary ball, one. And Aidan Higgins is available to take off. Gaps appearing. Higgins going, and Higgins putting it over the bar. Very good score by Aidan Higgins, just his second ever point in championship football, an important one, a crucial one at a key stage in the game. 10-6 they lead, and it all came from this wonderful catch in midfield by the Ballina maestro, Ronan McGarity. Great finish.
Higgins had a couple of thoughts too about throwing it into another man, but it was his chance to throw it over the bar, to bang it over the bar, and he did.
Questions being asked of Mick O'Dwyer's team right now. Only 6 points so far, 10 wides. A lot of balls dropping short to the goalkeeper. Peter O'Leary coming again, and that one has gone wide. Frustrating when the half-backs have to come forward like that, and he's almost tearing the hair out. Not such a good day for Micko, but he's had so many wonderful ones, and there's... We're only 12 minutes into the second half. McGarity fouled by Clancy. The referee will have noted that I don't think Clancy has been ticked so far. So it's a showing of the black book. That means a ticking for Tory Clancy. Laois slow to close down. Alan Dillon getting by Aidan Fennelly. Doing well. Quick injection of pace, but too many steps taken, and the referee is very, very smart on that this afternoon. That's one of the ones that he's blowing for.
Yeah, I agree with him on the steps, Gerard. There's no question about that. Alan Dillon does overstep it, but he is very much been held back in one way, possibly fouled by Aidan Fennelly. He gets the benefit of the doubt. That's two on the bounce that have gone against Mayo. This could be a turning point.
Funny, last week we were saying the opposite, that players were taking the ball on too many steps. Kelly back, secure, but now needing support players. Good work here from Joe Higgins, having to hold it because everybody was effectively blocked. Quigley coming again, looking to see where the simple and easy pass is. Again there was a holding. That time it's Peadar Gardner is the guilty party, and he's already been shown the notebook. So the referee will want to take a name at this stage, I think.
Yeah, Gardner and Munir having a great battle, Ger, out there. Really good contest between them. But now he's on a yellow, and that always gives the forward the great advantage when you pick up the yellow. We saw Francie Bellew and Kieran Donaghy in the quarter. What that can mean.
That's a huge one in. Garvin there, touching it down. Clarke coming to Mayo's rescue. Challenged by Russ Monolly. They work it out. That was Laois's 9th free kick, as opposed to 1 to Mayo in the second half so far. It nearly produced a goal. At the other end, Pat Hart, back to MacDonald, who got that wonder point about 5 or 6 minutes ago. Trying to go by Aidan Fennelly, forced to the angle. Hitting under pressure with considerable difficulty, and no joy for his troubles. This was there at the other end. Garvin coming in, and it required the intervention of David Clarke. Very decisive.
Yeah, Donny in sniffing around too to see what crumbs he could pick up, but Clark did well, tidied it up nicely.
Nallon. That's back with Tom Kelly. So many errors, but as the panel were saying at half-time, it doesn't really matter at the end. They're not here to provide us with a classic. It's about getting to the semi-final, 7 days away against Dublin. Good shoulder by McGarity, but good hold by Pádraig Clancy. Good strength as he goes by Pat Hart, and in the end, the referee says it wasn't shoulder to shoulder in his view. Others will have a different point of view on that one, I think.
Clancy did very well, drove in, took the ball into the Mayo defence, and actually almost got an advantage, but Joe McQuillan had sounded the whistle. Yellow card for Pat Hart.
And a change for Laois. They're bringing on Ian Fitzgerald in place of Brendan Quigley. So that's a big change. Fitzgerald going in there to the edge of the square. Garvin will come out, I think, or will he, around midfield.
Might just wait for this free.
Yes, he's come out already into the centre of the field. Russ Munnelly ready to take. His team 4 points behind. He kicked a beauty a few minutes ago. They look for another, and that's over. A third for Russ Munnelly, and the Laois fans having a lot to cheer about. Still very firmly in the hunt for a semi-final place, and another tilt with the Dubs.
Well, it appears to me, Ger, no side can get away from the other. I'm not sure any side wants to get away from the other. They like giving us these tight finishes, and it's back to a 3-point game again.
That's touched down by Garvin. It's ahead by Pádraig McMahon. This is Conway. McMahon coming onto it now. Next, the support player is Sheehan. It's Pádraig McMahon. Pádraig McMahon under pressure, fouled, and it's going to be a free in. Under huge pressure. And he's just saying to the referee, look where I am. But in fact, he was outside the large parallelogram when he did finally come to ground. But good work by the Ballyrowan player. He's never ever scored in the championship. Conway hasn't scored so far today, but this is a really good chance to put just 2 between them with just 17 minutes gone in the second half. Conroy then has waited a long time. His first shot at the target from play or from a free today. From the 13-metre mark, he puts it over the bar. He makes the Laois fans sweat a little bit by his approach. This was the challenge on McMahon. That's the one that was deemed a foul.
It's a very tight call, and on such calls, maybe just. I'll give him the benefit there.
I think the referee was saying it wasn't absolutely shoulder to shoulder. Meanwhile, at the other end, Barry Regan from Ballaghareen commits the foul. So many fouls. Another fresh Laois face about to come in. It'll be Gary Kavanagh coming in for Billy Sheehan. Well, to inject a little bit more life in the Laois attack.
It just hasn't been Sheehan's day. All the hard work he's done through this championship, we've seen him in a lot of the games in the qualifier series, working really hard for his team. Just hasn't happened for him today, though.
Midfield was very, very congested. Huge one down towards Noel Garvin, now back in midfield alongside Pádraig Clancy. Meanwhile, it's Alan Dillon who will feel that with his side 2 points ahead and another quarter of this game to go, they're in with a right good chance of making the semi-finals. David Heaney, big one up there. Regan holding on to it, looking for the support player. It's Kieran MacDonald, pursued by Joe Higgins, pursued vigorously. Kelly's there as well. Higgins trying to get a hand in. MacDonald holds on. Good strength in towards Mortimer. Getting a little touch to it. Back to Alan Dillon. They'll need to benefit, you feel, from every attack at this stage. It's such a tight match. It comes back to Peter Gardner, kicking under pressure. It'll land about 10 metres out. Pushed back by Tom Kelly to a support player who is Noel Garvin, not for the first time back, helping out in defence. That wayward kick is mopped up by David Heaney. all of a sudden it's Mayo who are carrying the fight forward. Good opportunities now for Conor Mortimer. On his left, will it drift in? The referee seems to have blown his whistle. That's not going to count. The referee's indicating that... what is he indicating?
I think it's a late tackle, Ger, that he's indicating. As Conor Mortimer was kicking it. I didn't see a lot in it. I'd have to see it again in slow motion, in fairness. But the referee is going out to Chris Conway, I believe. And he's had a tick already, so he's going to get a yellow. But
worth seeing that again, I imagine, because I was watching Conor Mortimer. Conway obviously came in late.
Alan Dillon was actually inside him, and he should have punched it into him in the first instance. But this is a key free for Mayo now, if indeed they deserved it.
Or will Conor Mortimer be the one who will take it? Or perhaps they will make a change there. Andy Moran's come on, by the way, for Ger Brady. That's another important change. Joe Higgins has gone back on the goal line there.
And I don't think it matters a whole lot whether Conor Mortimer gets up to... could I suggest I could put that one over myself from here, Ger? It's right in front of the goal, 13 metres out.
Well, he's looking for his fifth of the day. No particular hurry, wants to compose himself on the goal line. Torrick McMahon on the left-hand side there. Fergal Byron is ready as well. He's surely going to just lob it over the bar. He does. Conor Mortimer has got his fifth. 3 of them have come from frees. He got 6 last week, and there's still a fair bit of time to go. There's that late challenge now by Chris Conway, and the referee was in quick as a flash.
Well, I have to say I find that a hard call as well, not to be fair about it. The ball was well gone. His momentum must have brought him into Mortimer. I can't believe he'd be that silly.
Garvin outnumbered, outgunned. Mayo taking over at midfield again. Aidan Kilcoyne trying to hand pass it there to Andy Moran. To get it out with Rooney here, held in possession. Worked to Joe Higgins. Laois 3 points behind. Not a goal last week, many goal chances, none this week so far either. Porrick Clancy, back once again to Gary Kavanagh. Now Joe Higgins. Chris Conway, yellow carded just moments ago. Donny Brennan can't hold it. Geraghty gratefully holds on. Pluckily takes it out. Now needs to find a man. Several options. Andy Moran was to his left. Going to the right and to Pat Hart instead. Good counter-attack. Lots of purpose. Will there be a finish for Kilcoyne? There is, surely. As he did last week, a late point for Kilcoyne. Then it was to take the teams within a point. Now he's up in the gap of 4. Mayo the leaders.
Good score by Kilcoyne. A lot of good work by Hart. A lot of good work by Dillon. Kilcoyne shows that he's able to play at this level.
Garvin poking it in there to Donny Brennan, getting there ahead. Played back well here. Fitzgerald's available. Back once again, Munnelly slipping it around Bino. Held. Good defensive work. Healy takes it out. Referee says take it on. He does. Good work by Mayo. Great work by their captain. Out to Aidan Higgins. Twice last week, Laois could have closed out the deal, and now it's very firmly in the grasp of Mayo to win this quarter-final. That's a great piece of fielding by Darren Rooney for Laois. Good work by the full-back. Just as we say it, he ruins it completely with an awful clearance.
Well, what were the 2 Laois forwards doing during the last attack? Ross Munley and Bino MacDonald line up. Who wants to take the goal? Will someone stick it in? It was a magnificent chance for Laois to get back into the game, but they just started playing it over and back till the chance was lost.
Alan Dillon, the fans will feel it's going to be Mayo's day. Alan Dillon breezing in and fisting it over the bar. Very good piece of judgment. His 2nd point of the match. 13-8. 11 minutes to go. It's there for the losing for Mayo at this stage. They'll hardly get a better chance of getting to the semis.
Super score by Dillon. Show great pace for a guy not renowned for it. Show them all a clean pair of heels and lovely skill with the left fist to put it over.
Free quickly taken by Laois. Down as far as Russ Munnelly. Will it curl in the right-hand post? It does. They're still there firmly in the hunt. 4 points for Russ Munnelly. 13-9. Well, 15 all last week.
It's a good
This
score.
one here.
It's a great score, Ger. I mean, he's keeping them in it now. It's still a game, still a contest going on out here in front of us. Great score from Munley.
Third ever meeting of these counties in championship football. Dillon got that last score with the fist. Up here towards Regan, leaving it here for Ronan McGarity. Just holding it up, using up some time. Here's MacDonald. McGarity once again. It was a very difficult kick on the run, but that's a very confident piece of play by Ronan McGarity. His first point of the game, and again, 5 points the margin. Is it to be Mayo against Dublin in 7 days' time?
Lovely work by Kieran MacDonald in that build-up. Two of these little dinky passes are opening up a loose leash defence.
McMahon. Leash at this stage, you feel, going to need a goal. They need something really big. Kavanagh taking the free kick. Tom Kelly. About 9 minutes remain. Aidan Fennelly. Once again they go to Vito MacDonald. Garvin back up in the attack. MacDonald. Where can they find the space? Not available. Fennelly trying to go on the outside. Closed down really well there by Alan Dillon. Andy Moran taking the ball out. Finding a loose player. That's Kieran MacDonald. Nobody near him. He can hold it. Waste time if he wants. Goes long instead. Up towards Barry Regan. Regan, the substitute. He has Conor Mortimer near him. Held up there by Darren Rooney. Handled the ball on the ground. Free out.
Silly when he lost control. First thing he did, picks it off the ground.
It's out to Tom Kelly from that resultant free kick. Laois desperate to stay in the championship. Gary Kavanagh. Oh, bad ball. Straight to Pat Hart. Released to Kieran MacDonald. Outside of the boot. Andy Moran once again coming on to it. Taking it up here. Peter O'Leary trying to get in a tackle. Moran confidently hit, but outside and again wide of the target. But the time now is ebbing away. Only 8 minutes left, plus maybe a moment or two of stoppage time after that.
Mayo full forward and Ger looking very tired in that last move. No runs off their men. MacDonald had to play the ball over and back and pick out Andy Moran. Just no movement whatsoever.
There's going to be another change. Paul Lawler is ready to come on for his 5th championship experience in the Laois colours, replacing the disappointing Bino MacDonald. That's 4 substitutions now used by Laois and by Mayo. So one further option available to the 2 managers. Mayo much the happier. Darren Rooney trying to get to Chris Conway. Never a good ball, not a good option. Aidan Higgins smartly in. Great eagerness and determination being shown by the Connacht champions. And let's remember they are the Connacht champions. Coming in here against a Laois team playing in their 7th match, beaten by Dublin already in the Leinster Championship, and right now struggling big time.
Also on the last play down in the left corner back position, you saw Alan Dillon dive right across the ball and win a ball he had no business winning at all.
Well,
hungry for it.
That's the passion and the heart and determination. They'd love to get back in the final and put behind them the awful nightmare of 2004. Conor Mortimer. Again, the angle is tight. Joe Higgins did really well. Got in his hands. Cleverly took it to himself.
Very, very poor play by Conor Mortimer. I don't know how he's thinking about
tired,
there.
listless play. Laois looking for inspiration. Pádraig Clancy going long. Huge one down. Broken in there. Well, that's the new man in Paul Lawler winning the free kick. A point will cut it back just a little, but they need a little bit more than that. Book shown there to Keith Higgins. We were all surprised when he went off about 10 minutes from the end last Sunday. And he admitted afterwards that he was absolutely wrecked. He in flowerier terms than that. Chris Conway ready to kick. Needs to hurry it up. There'll still be 4 points between them if he puts it over the bar. just over 5 minutes left. It's 14-10. Miko wondering whether this is the last couple of minutes he will enjoy as Laois manager. Indicated that he would leave the scene. That's the Laois scene at the end of the championship season.
Well, Mayo are in the driving seat, sure, as we count the clock down, but they're not closing it out impressively. They're struggling to get over the line, it has to be said.
It's broken down again, and Laois, you would anticipate winning all the balls now around the middle of the field, because they have to go for it. Russ Monolly looking for a support player. Gary Kavanagh played in towards Downey Brennan. Closed down by Peter Gardner, who's already on a yellow. Has to be very careful. The referee leniently looking at him. Free into Laois. Well, this will put a goal between them.
Well, that's my point about not closing it out in any confident or decisive fashion. They're leaving it too close to call. A stray ball, a breaking ball. And there's a goal of a difference. The game is never over.
Ross missed one from a similar angle early in the first half. David Heaney in some difficulty again with his chin injury. The referee was looking at it there. He went off for treatment, you may remember. Referee, I think, telling him that he has to leave the field to get treatment if there is blood coming from a wound. Now it's hotting up quite considerably.
Well, it's probably Heaney from the earlier one in the first half.
I think, yes, the blood coming from his chin there, you can see it. I think Laois feel there's time wasting.
And now we've a bit of pushing and shoving and a bit of passion and a bit of physicality. Late on, mind you.
Pat Kelly will come back in. Number 17 coming back into the picture in a moment. All eyes right now on Ross Monolly to make it 14-11 if he can. Again, it's a tricky enough angle, but he has to make it. He's made it. 5 points for Ross Monolly. And it's 14 points to 11. 3 minutes to go. Probably 2 minutes of stoppage time, I'd imagine, thereabouts. So it's about 5 minutes of football, and David Heaney still requiring the attention. David Clark picking out Ronan McGarity. Andy Moran now. Fennelly has pursued him. Back to McGarity. Steadying influence. They move it forward to Keith Higgins now. Good approach play. Scored already. Almost losing the ball. He has lost it this time. Wasn't thrown, was it? Padraig McMahon.
Funny hand pass that one, I'd have to say.
Well, it was.
The ball went back. Is that what the rugby rule is?
It's a mix of everything. Chris Conway ready to take the free. Garvin urged on by the legions of Laois fans now. They've got to make the attacks count. Mayo have got to defend vigorously. Great determination, good assurance by Higgins. They work it out to Andy Moran. Their last quarter-final victory was 2 years ago. They beat Tyrone that day. They were the reigning All-Ireland champions. Today up against Laois. They're looking good for it. James Nallen denied. Mortimer just to hold it. Andy Moran knew he didn't need to kick it away aimlessly. Mortimer, well, he's having a go, but well, it won't be shown up on the highlights, I think. Not that shot.
And his shot selection now has absolutely gone bananas. He's picking anyone that he feels like, and these can be expensive. Hold on to it, recycle it to a better shooter, make your angle a bit better, a bit more to your advantage.
So an edgy, nervous finish for both teams, but Laois, from a desperate point of view, need to get scores. Russ Monolly. A couple of players outside to support him. Peter O'Leary is one of them. Downey Brennan's close to him. Ian Fitzgerald's waiting inside. Garvin's gone there too! What a fist that was, but it's outside. It's gone to the left. That's how close Laois have come. That's how dangerous Mayo were living.
You see, if it happens, and Garvin is not far off there, if that happens, you have to say Mayo deserved to fall to a sucker punch like that, because they've just drifted out of the game. It's too tight. They're not doing their business in a professional way.
Well, it's no classic, that's for certain. I wonder what the Dubs are thinking as David Heaney comes back into the action. All this while Dublin have been able to prepare not quite knowing which of the teams they were going to be meeting, but they will know very shortly. Of course, there would be extra time if the match finishes level. The stipulations today.
The clock is certainly ticking on Miko's time with us here in Croke Park, but just noting David Heaney back on now with number 31 now on his back jersey instead of number 3. Obviously the blood went onto the jersey, tidied himself up, back for the last few minutes.
At least 2 additional minutes of play. McGarity is okay. So far in the game, not much between them in terms of scoring chances. Mayo just shading it. They created 28 scoring chances. Laois created 27. The fans now feeling they have a role to play as well, a big role. We're in injury time at the end of this quarter-final replay. Mayo leading by 3. Laois winning the ball back, or attempting to do so. McGarity again to try and deny them. He's had a good match, McGarity. MacDonald. He held on to it long enough, drew the foul from Clancy. Free kick to Mayo.
That's one aspect that people seem to forget about Ciara MacDonald. His horsepower is strong, Ger. You're not going to hurt him with those sort of clatters.
Clancy got a yellow card for that. But the clock is now very much the enemy of Laois. Pat Hart. And Chris Conway was dragging him back, and he's on a yellow card. The referee doesn't take any further action. Mayo just want to hold it now. Run the clock down. 40 seconds or thereabouts to go. They would be deserving victors on the day. Higgins once again fouled. It's got scrappy in the extreme, if that was possible, after a match which never lived up to the heights of last week. Gary Kavanagh ticked. After all of that, Aidan Higgins requiring the attention. Well, the crowd certainly playing their part. Mick O'Dwyer, nothing at all he can do at this stage. Looks to be Mickey Moran's day. Once again, Aidan Higgins getting the attention there from Dr. Fergal Rowan. Mickey, who's come from County Derry, he's had experience in other counties as well. His first season with Mayo led them to the Connacht title. He'll relish a chance of getting back here next Sunday against Dublin. Alan Dillon. Nicely inside for James Nallen. Inside once again towards Barry Regan. Aidan Kilcoyne. We've now gone over the 2 minutes, but it's very much at the referee's discretion. That's nicely in towards Mortimer, touching it down. Nallen thought about it. Mortimer off balance, and he's put the ball wide. And that is it, it's all over. Mayo win the quarter-final. Laois are out of the championship, and next Sunday it'll be Mayo versus Dublin. Mick O'Dwyer, is that the end of the era with Laois? In his first year they won the Leinster title. They've gone close on a few occasions. Mayo fans much the happier in what was a very scrappy game of football. They edge out Laois by sheer determination, lots of craft as well. Mickey Moran delighted, absolutely ecstatic, you can be certain. He has brought his team to the semi-final of the Bank of Ireland Championship. And at Croke Park here, they finished 3 points better off than Mick O'Dwyer's team. One of those days for Micko. Mayo very pleased to have engineered the victory. It may have taken them 2 games, but they deserved it, Kevin.
Yes, I think, and set up a fantastic next Sunday here in Croke Park. We have Roscommon, we have Leitrim, and now we have Mayo, so it'll be a big day out for the Westerners. Deserved winners for sure, Ger.
Well, I think the Dubs will be the hot favourites to make progress. You'll wonder what the 2 matches will have taken out of Mayo. The lack of a gap, a week maybe, an extra week would have done them, stood them in good stead. Mind you, against that, the 2 matches will have brought them on. Alan Dillon played his heart out. One of the moments you alluded to earlier on, he went over there to a left-half back position, put in a tackle at a crucial stage, an area of the field that he had no right to be in, you feel.
Yeah, and Ronan McGarty had a great game as well, you have to say. A lot of Mayo lads really dug deep. Great win for them.
Well, we've got some comment from the sideline now. Let's go down to hear what Mickey Moran has to say. He's with Darragh Maloney.
Mickey, congratulations, you made it.
Yeah, we made it. No All-Ireland Championship game is going to be easy. At least put it up to us. And we lost our way, but we got a lot of injuries and that, and the rhythm of the team was upset. But the lads came filtering back and broke the game line a few times, and we got the vital scores that mattered. David Clark made a great save. The boys blocked. We wanted it. We had hunger, and Joe with passion too. You know.
What was your view at half-time, Mickey? Because you were, 3 points up? You should have been further in front.
Absolutely. We kicked at least 7, either dead or into the keeper's hands. That was killing us. We were breaking the game line. We were selling them and getting by the tackler. Then it opened up to either run at them or pick out the forwards. Again, the scores were costly. But we were on ahead at half-time. Yeah. And we just said at half-time we're going to stay that way. You know, no matter what it takes. Hey, well, we'll match next week, and I'll take a mighty effort, but we're through this one, and I'm proud of all the players, absolutely proud of them.
Big test for you as well during kind of the early first 15 minutes after the restart. They got back to within 2.
Yeah, but that's championship football. Like, at least they're a good team, and you're not going to get anything for nothing. But we're through, and we're delighted. And by the way, Joe, intensity and column, intensity is to do with heart rate and putting the pulse up to high intensity and trying to keep that going for as much of the match as possible. What you were talking about was actually pressurised tackling and hitting. If you play with intensity and you give the ball, then you don't get hit and you can lose the ball. But hey, we worry about ourselves. We're through. We have a hell of a lot to do. The Dubs are favourites. Nobody will give us a chance. But sure, that's it.
Well done, Mickey. Thank you.
Interesting indeed from Mickey Moran there. It's a game of opinions, but it's a game of football as well. Final score here, Mayo 14 points, Laois 11. Michael.
Joe Kenny and Kevin McStay, thank you very much indeed. Yes, Mayo are into those All-Ireland semi-finals against the Dubs and Colin O'Rourke and Joe Brolly. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, well, Mickey's entitled to his opinion too, and you know, he got a lot off his chest there. But you know, in fairness to Mayo, they were much the better team. They did play with a lot more hunger than Laois today, and they were the better team, and fair play to them. You know, okay, you know, let's not talk about next week, and you know, for Mickey Moran and his team, you know, what they did today was sufficient for today. Now they'll go away and think of the next one, and in fairness to them, they got it right.
Joe.
Aye. Well, as I said last week, you know, Mayo do play with passion, and today I just felt, you know, they had more in them than Laois. I mean, Laois are, it's not a nice thing to say, but they're just a bad team. You know, we've seen them so often.
They're not a bad team.
We've seen them.
Players.
Well, I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
With 10 minutes to go in the game, there was only 4 points in it, but there was an atmosphere of inevitability about it. You know, the Laois boys seemed to have resigned themselves.
But is that not a credit to Mayo? I mean, Mayo were pushing on at the end.
Well, look, Mayo, look, as is nearly always the case with them this year, Mayo could have won the match really handsomely. You know, and there was one stage at the start of the second half when they kicked 2 or 3 points, and it really looked as if they were going to forge ahead and do a good job on them today. Mayo do a lot of things well. There's no doubt about that. And today they defended well and they learned lessons from last week. But the thing that they still don't do well is score sufficiently strongly. You know what I mean? At times they had Laois at their mercy in the second half. You'd like to see them driving on.
They shouldn't pass any remarks on what we say either.
No, and I tell you another thing about Mayo, they're in the last 4 in the country for the All-Ireland Championship. Well, next up here at Croke Park, it's the All-Ireland football semi-final between Kerry and Cork. It's in their last 10 championship meetings, actually. It's been
but just not close enough to him. Mark O'Shea. Eamon Fitzmaurice, we understand there'll be 2 minutes to be added on at the end of the 70. Mark O'Shea. Oh, well played, Mark O'Shea. Has help from Aidan O'Mahony. Now Kerry get their players forward. O'Mahony. O'Sullivan just inside. This is Owen Brosnan. 3 goals for him, Sean O'Sullivan. Again, Longford able to nick it from them. Diarmuid Masterson takes the hit from Kieran Donaghy, and it was a considerable hit. It's been a big tussle between those 2 players, and the ball has been picked up off the ground again, and there may have been an awkward looking reaction from a Longford man in there.
Just a bit of niggling. I think Kieran might have just overreacted a small bit. He got probably a small bit of a knock while he was on the ground there, nothing too intentional. He's played quite well today, Kieran Donaghy. Another turnover there in that incident, and just unfortunate to pick it off the ground.
I'm told he works in a sports shop in Tralee, and he had to queues and queues of well-wishers calling in to see him this week. I don't think they were buying anything, but just wishing him well. Here's David Barden for Longford. Barden has a go. Well taken by Dermot Murphy, the Kerry goalkeeper. I wonder, did it squeeze over the line? Now the goal not given. Here's Owen Brosnan. And Brosnan again. Colm Cooper. Well, they're going through the gears now, Kerry. Looking to put that 9-point cushion between the sides again. There were 3 goals between them at half-time. And as we head into injury time, 3 goals between them again. That score by Sean O'Sullivan.
Sean O'Sullivan's a player that always plays well and contributes when he does come on, injects a lot of pace. He's a very, very good option on the bench.
Free kick coming up for Longford. The referee's having a word with Aidan O'Mahony. Longford have restarted the game, but they're going to have to come back. Would appear that O'Mahony is going to get a yellow card.
It's a bit needless at this stage of the game to be given a yellow card for what was really a minor indiscretion.
There's the yellow. Liam Keenan. Longford's last seconds in the 2006 Bank of Ireland Football Championship. This round 4 of the qualifiers. The winners, who will be Kerry, will play Armagh next month in the quarter-final. You can be sure members of the Armagh backroom team were here today in Killarney to watch Kerry's victory. Sean O'Sullivan to Eamon Fitzmaurice, and now Mike Frank Russell. Well out in front was Declan O'Sullivan, and that's a free in, and O'Sullivan wants to take it quickly.
Something that is creeping into the game at the moment, this thing of slowing up, and both teams are guilty of it even today, you know, of slowing up the quick free. I think nobody wants to give the advantage. We saw a few scores come from 1 or 2 that were allowed to be taken quickly, but Brian Sheehan might slot this one.
Well, it is Brian Sheehan again. As Dara mentioned, the wind is tricky, blowing across him towards the far corner. It didn't get hold of that one, but could yet come to something, but doesn't. Taken by Damien Sheridan, and Sheridan lets it out the field towards Paul Barden. And Longford looking to finish on a high, looking to finish with another score. Liam Keenan. Keenan tries to feed Paul Barden. And there is the whistle. Is it for full time? Yes, indeed it is. It's over. And Kerry are through to the quarter-finals. A trip to Dublin to come, and a meeting just like in the 2002 All-Ireland final with Armagh to come. Dara, sum it up.
Yeah, I suppose from a Longford point of view, there's certainly no disgrace. They came down, they performed, they created a carnival-type atmosphere, and definitely they are a team for the future. You know, I suppose they're kicking let them down at times, and possibly some of the defending for the goals. From a Kerry point of view, Joe Kernan certainly won't be quaking in his boots at that one. But there is a certain amount of pride restored. The fans have got behind the team again. They've shown a good attitude today, apart from a few bits of sloppy passing, and they tend to lose concentration, I suppose, and to lose the sense of adventure every now and then. You know, they've played reasonably well. They'll be happy to be into the next round, and I'd say the games are coming thick and fast at the moment, and that'll suit Kerry.
Well, there is the scene here in Killarney. You reflect back on the first half and the part that Kieran Donaghy played in those 3 first-half goals. Owen Brosnan ended the day with a hat-trick, a goal after 7 minutes, then one after 12, and a very important one after 59. Damien Sheridan, of course, saved a penalty from Mike Frank Russell, but the Longford adventure and their fairy tale run to round 4 of the qualifiers is over. But they'll hope that this is just the start of big things to come for them under Luke Dempsey in the future. And a very nice moment from the Longford players going over to applaud their supporters who've made the long journey down to support them. It's been a great journey for them in this year's championship, but it's Kerry who go through on a scoreline of 4-11 to 111 here in Killarney. Confirmation of the full-time score, Kerry through to the quarter-finals. Let's go down to the sideline and join Jim Carney.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Jared. Jack, thanks very much for staying out to talk to us. Congratulations to you and your team. I think maybe, Jack, we should first of all say well done both teams for a highly competitive and very entertaining game.
Yeah, excellent game, Jim. After the credit due to Longford, they came down, they certainly did themselves credit, and the boys up there have done a great job with them. They're a real footballing team, a lot of pace, great fitness, so they put us to the pin about collar. We just got the goals at the right time.
Yes, and they had a great attitude to it, they had all year, and I think maybe viewers might not appreciate there was a stiff breeze out there, Jack. They had it in the second half, and they attempted to make use of it.
They did, yeah. I mean, we had to bring out Kieran Donaghy from full forward just to make a difference around the middle of the field, but look, Jim, we're happy overall. Hopefully the show is back on the road, because we were struggling a bit. The 2 goals there will do the lads' confidence a bit of good, and that can only augur well for the future.
Yes, happy with your team, Jack, and happy with your bench, who I would imagine as well, because when you look to the bench, they certainly were not found wanting.
Yeah, it's a 20-man game, because the pace of that game was ferocious there at times, and it was quite warm. But look, Jim, we're only just back where we wanted to be. I mean, there's a huge challenge ahead of us next weekend against Armagh, a huge, different type of team, strong physical team, different type of football, so we'll have to regroup now and think about that one.
You'll go and meet that challenge. Thanks very much, Jack, for staying out to talk to us. Well done to you.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, Jack O'Connor, very happy Kerry manager, obviously, after that performance. Paul Curran and Tony Davis here in studio with me have been looking at that performance by Kerry, and we'll get an assessment of that. And I suppose, Paul, what Jack O'Connor said there at the end is the relevant point. They may not have gone the route that they wanted to, but they are in the All-Ireland quarterfinals, which they would have been in if they had won their Munster Championship anyway. So, although with a question mark maybe over them.
Well, I think it was always going to be a difficult game for Kerry. Playing against Longford, underdogs, have never been this far. Well, they were in an All-Ireland semi-final in '68, but had never been this far recently. It wasn't a complete performance from Kerry, but I think they'll be happy that they've found the net on 4 occasions, and they could have got another couple of goals, missed a penalty. But there's still plenty of work to do before next week. Donaghy was super at full forward, but the real question next week is, will Kerry get enough possession around the middle of the field to feed him? And if not,
the next day against Armagh is going to be a different
they'll probably have to put him out around midfield, and if Donaghy goes to midfield, it's going to be difficult for those Kerry forwards to break down the Armagh defence. But for now, it was a good win and a decent enough performance.
And a little sparkle again from the Gooch, Tony. Not back to his Gooch best, but nonetheless contributed more today.
Absolutely. He nearly had a hand in all the goals himself. Owen Brosnan and Donaghy as a triangle worked very well together, and I have no doubt Kerry will try their best to keep him in around the square, because he does take pressure off the 2 corner forwards, but he is an accomplished midfielder as well, and it's handy to be able to bring him out when you're in trouble. But having said that, the first 10 minutes of the second half, Longford had a goal opportunity, and they kicked 3 balls wide, and it was about their shot selection, and it was about Longford learning, coming up and playing at this level against the best, and learn and come back next year and build on the foundation of what they did this year. And that's what it is about for Longford now, to learn from this year and take it forward next year. Next year will be a bigger test for them, but they're a good young team. They showed great spirit and guts, but in the end of the day, it's hard when somebody gets 4 goals against you to come back and try and win the game. But in fairness to them, they didn't give up, but Kerry were much better.
No, they did not. I mean, leaking the goals obviously was the major problem for them, but they played good football. We said this at half-time around the field. Tony said they missed a goal opportunity, a couple of points. Then they actually got a goal. Now, had they been able to put a few points with this at the time?
Yeah, they started off the second half, kicked 2 points, had Kerry in all sorts of trouble. Paul Barden missed a good goal chance, and then we had this, Porrick, Berry, some great work, gave it to Brian Kavanagh, who's a smashing young footballer. He's 19 years of age. He's had a fantastic season so far. He scored 1-5 today against Kerry. He'll be delighted with his performance. Gave them a glimmer of hope, but I think, as Tony said, in the end, Kerry just had enough class.
Yeah, there was that gap was there all along. It was always going to be hard for Longford to try and fail. And then again, later in the half, I suppose the Kerry machine that had been working so well in attacking the first half came back again for another blast.
It did, and Kerry always tried to take a quick ball. Every time they were fouled, they looked up to take a quick ball, and Longford actually tried their best to stop him hitting it off. But this is Donaghy again winning the ball. He looks up, he doesn't wait. Good pass on the outside of his foot into Gooch, and straight away, as soon as the ball is kicked, Brosnan makes his run.
And you knew it was a goal.
Straight again, the same 2 again. We've seen this over the last 3 or 4 years now. Brosnan had a quiet season so far, but as soon as Donaghy kicked the ball, Brosnan made his run, Gooch just laid it off him and top corner.
I think we've spoke about this guy Brosnan before, and his best position is centre forward.
Yeah.
How you could have this man out in the wing or midfield, I don't know. He does all his good work from centre forward. Scored 3 goals today, could have got another one.
Well, it was a proof of it today because he's a strong player who runs hard through the centre, actually.
He does, and it's the timing of his run, really, that's the important thing. Because as soon as Donny hit that quick free, he was gone off his man. And I'm not sure that Armagh defenders will be as charitable leaving somebody off or running off like that. They'll body check him and they'll try and stop him from making those runs. But again, that's going to be the big test, the acid test next week against Armagh.
They'll certainly be looking at cutting off the supply that gave them the 2 first goals that Kerry got in the first half, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there at half-time Joe Kiernan will be up on Armagh doing his notes, and you know, he will definitely be looking at this. Kerry played the long ball in. They put Kieran Donaghy in full forward for one reason and one reason only. You know, they played with the breeze in the first half, which made it a lot easier. They got the long ball in, but I mean, this fella has great hands, and not only is he good hands, but he's good vision. He was involved in the 4 goals, believe it or not. The only thing he didn't do was score a goal himself, and he's just a difficult guy to mark. And I don't care whether you're Francie Bellew or whichever, you know, whatever fullback has on him. I think he's going to cause problems for most people.
Up in the air for those balls.
And you know, they were 2 very simple goals, and you know, I think at half time the game was probably over. It's very hard to come back from, you know, conceding 3 goals in the first half, especially against Kerry. And he's going to take watching.
I think there'll be more than Joe Carlin scribbling down notes. I think Francie will be writing 1 or 2 down as well, Tony.
Francie hasn't been found out yet. We're always talking about Francie and all that, but in fairness to Francie, he hasn't been found out yet. He's a big heart, and it won't be as easy. The Longford full back line really was shaky enough, you know, in fairness to them. Like, I know they all tried hard, but it's probably the weakest sector of that Longford team is their full back line. And it's very hard to defend against a guy who's 6'4". If the ball is given in with the wind, all he has to do is get clean possession of it, and he's an international basketballer. He goes up, wins the ball. He has very good peripheral vision and very fast hands, and it's very hard to defend against that, especially when you have the likes of Mike Frank and Cooper with their awareness around the goal. Now, I suppose Gooch today, it's another step along for him to try and get his confidence back, and he played quite well. He worked hard off the ball. I don't know what he scored in the end. He got a goal and 2 points, I think, was it? Kerry hadn't scored a goal so far in the championship this year, and 4-12 is a phenomenal score. It's a big score, Michael.
Sure is. Now, okay, we have another short break on the programme here. We're back after that with more, including our man of the match from today's game.
I'm taller man today. I don't get anyone under 6 foot.
Cork City's back is against the wall. With a 1-goal deficit and multiple suspensions, Cork must dig deep to qualify for the 3rd round against these former European champions. Champions League coverage of the 2nd leg of Red Star v Cork City starts Wednesday at 7 on RTE2.
Rivalry. It's what it's all about. The Guinness Hurling Championship. GAA Unrivaled.
The Harry Corrie Interiors biggest ever summer sale is now on, with bargains at up to half price. Harry Corrie Interiors summer sale, now on.
Boring all day, isn't it? Let's kick something off.
Man of the match time here on the programme. Some excellent performances from Kerry. I suppose Owen Brosnan with 3 goals would have to be included in that. But our man of the match selection from this game, the man with the big hands, he's tall too. Jim Carney isn't that small. It's Kieran Donaghy.
Well, last week I had the pleasure of presenting the RTE Man of the Match award to the tall Henry Shefflin. Today an even taller man. One of the best displays of the football championship so far, no doubt about that. And now it's my pleasure to present the RTE Bank of Ireland Man of the Match award to Kieran Donaghy for a magnificent display today. Well done to you, Kieran.
Thank you.
Kieran, just reflecting on it, you said privately to me a minute ago, great relief to get over that.
Oh yeah, we knew Longford to come down with all guns blazing today, and I think we needed a good start. And thankfully for us, we did get the good start we needed. But fair dues to Longford, they never lay down. They kept going. They gave away a penalty. We missed it. They came down, got a goal. It was looking hairy again, but thank God we pulled through. Really.
Yeah. Now, Kieran, you would have been just as comfortable at midfield, but you didn't mind playing full forward.
I didn't know. I don't mind once I'm on the team. To be honest, Jim, you know, I'll play anywhere. I'll play cornerback if you ask me. But
and with the Stags, you also play in there as well, don't you?
I do with my club. I play both, but wherever I'm needed. But it was just great to get over it now today, and all the boys did a great job. Even the Gooch was, I thought, terrific. He won every ball that came into him. He got hit a few times earlier on, but he kept going, and he's a great player.
Yeah, and just finally, Kieran, a test of character for you today too. You'd have been disappointed with the sending off, I'm sure, and then you missed a match. So you bounced back here today, and clearly you were thinking positive.
Yeah, to be honest, Jim, I was just raring to go. You know, I felt hard done by, to be honest. The referee was in a precarious situation, but look, he had to do what he had to do. But I won't hold it against him. It's over now. We're looking forward. Big one again next Saturday. We won't get carried away. We've a lot to do. We'll get back into the training now Tuesday and Thursday this week and head to Croke. I hope the Kerry public will come in their droves to get behind us, because they really got behind us today, and I thought it made a huge difference to us, really, Jim, to be honest.
Yes, you sent out a great strong statement there today. Well done to you, Kieran, today. It was a great thrill for us all to watch you out there today. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks very much, Jim. Go back. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, congratulations to Kieran Donaghy. Excellent performance today. So then, Tony, just a week to prepare for Kerry against Armagh. Who's going to win that one?
Terrific game. It's exactly what all the Kerry footballers would want, to play Armagh, because since 2002, anyone I've spoken to down there about football, they always want to play Armagh again. Now, they've had terrific preparation, 2 games against Cork. They got the game today to try and lift their confidence and get everything back. The system of play they devised with Donaghy full forward obviously works, but Armagh will not be as charitable as that. Armagh are a good side, and I still think Armagh are better than Kerry, and I think Armagh will beat them.
Oh, Armagh are staring at this Sam Maguire from the beginning of the summer. There's no doubt about that. But this has a real prospect of a match now, because Kerry are coming into it in the right shape.
Yeah, that's right. And unusually they'll probably go in as underdogs next weekend, which will suit them. But I think Armagh are one of these teams that are sitting in the long grass. They have an Ulster title safely tucked away, which really doesn't interest them at this stage. They're looking at the big one. They've a tough
they
side
go
of
in
it
as winners as opposed to coming in by some other route.
Yeah, I would be worried for Kerry's defence. They were in trouble early in the game. They were in trouble the first 10 minutes